This week has been a really tough week.
Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while?
Hi zebras, welcome back to my channel. It's really nice to see you again. I'm really enjoying uploading more again. Wow, I'm out of breath. I thought I would change it up a little bit this week for week number 3 of like my weekly vlog. Somebody that is a friend told me that my vlogs weren't necessarily exciting, so I thought I would change up a bit, try and make it more of a fun way of showing you how my week went, because I don't want to overload you with lots of video footage. I thought I would try a different format this week, and if you like it more, please let me know. Give me a little thumbs up, it gives me a good indication if I'm doing something right. So the week didn't start off great, I'm gonna tell you right now. So at the end of last week's vlog, you may have noticed that I mentioned I had been called in to come and see my specialist on Saturday. Bit odd. We made the trip on Saturday and this is what happened.
I asked them what it was about and they said that it was just for a consultation, but it seemed like it was quite important. It was about 50 minutes in the car. When I get there, he was running on time, which was great. Got into the room, sat down, and he said to me, "Why are you here?" "Why are you here?" "Because you called me and asked me to come in." Yeah, so he was like really vague, and he said that he had received a letter 5 or 6 months ago from another pain specialist just asking to make sure that I was put on the pain program and that I was being seen. So he called me in to tell me that. The fact that he's unnecessarily dragging pain patients in all the way for no reason, and he kind of gave this sort of apology which was a bit like, "Yeah, I'm sorry I've spoiled your Saturday morning." Yeah. This is also the guy that saw me, and he sounded like he was going to really help, and then he discharged me from his clinic. So it's no wonder really that other specialists are writing to him to confirm that I'm on his program, because he doesn't really know what he's doing.
So the week didn't start off great. Monday wasn't terrible. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't terrible. I had a driving lesson, which went really well. So after the bad start to the week, I thought that maybe we were redeeming ourselves. I've been learning to drive now for quite a while. Should help with my mobility issues. I was nervous, obviously, about what was happening on Wednesday, but I was trying to stay quite positive about it. I tried to keep myself busy. I did really well today. I get a bit nervous, obviously, roundabouts and like big junctions, but I did really well. I didn't falter really at any roundabouts. Did good with my gear change down. Yeah, I did pretty well, so I'm feeling optimistic. Something I forgot to tell you about is I got my blood results that I requested the other week. Okay, so it's not always easy to read level results because obviously I'm not a doctor and I don't know what I'm not looking for, but generally what they do is they give you sort of the range which is considered normal. I don't know what all of these are. I get this is protein, so the protein level is 71, so that's good. So most of these actually do line up with being alright, but then there's this result which is actually low. So this is creatinine, is that what it's called? Creatinine, I don't know. And the normal level is 47 to 97 and mine is 41. I googled what creatinine is, or creatinine. Low blood creatinine levels. Low blood creatinine levels mean lower muscle mass caused by disease, which is interesting. And it's not like my muscle mass is wasting away because I'm not using them. It shows that there is like an actual issue that's causing the low muscle mass because of a disease. And my illness is Ehlers Danlos, so it is considered sort of a disease, such as muscular dystrophy, which I guess is a similar sort of thing. So they tend to say that bad things happen in threes, and Tuesday was no exception to this rule. I have been seeing a physio for a little bit. I have been fighting to get a physio for 2 years. If you don't know, I have Ehlers Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder. It affects my legs quite badly. It differs from person to person, but my mobility is very, very bad. I actually use a wheelchair quite a lot now, and physio is meant to kind of help stabilize whatever kind of strength you've got in your legs. The good thing about my physio is that it's like self-directed in a sense. Like, I don't have to go in every week and have a session with a physio. I have a physio who's helping me do self-guided physio. So because of that, I have been having a lot of phone appointments because my physio is actually over an hour away, so it's quite a big journey to undertake. I phoned up and asked again for the second time if I could have a phone appointment, and they said that was fine. So I was looking forward to having my phone appointment. 11:30 comes, 11:30 goes, when my appointment was meant to be, and nothing.
See, I probably wouldn't be as annoyed if I hadn't called twice already and that they'd confirmed that that would be okay. I was meant to have an appointment today at 11:30. I've rung up twice in the last couple of weeks to ask if it could be a phone appointment. Obviously it's 10 to 1 now, and
okay, I'll forward the details onto the occupational therapist.
Alright, okay.
The physio, because at the moment it's down to your needs. It's up to them what they do next, you see, but
Okay, I definitely did. I called twice last week. Oh my god!
Obviously I'm feeling a little bit deflated about that, especially because I've been waiting 2 years for this physio appointment, and the last thing I want them to do is to strike me off, especially when it wasn't my fault and they make you feel like you're going mad. I was already stressed about what was happening on Wednesday. It didn't put me in the greatest of moods. Because I was having quite a big appointment on Wednesday, my boyfriend came over on the Tuesday night. He's really great at diffusing situations, helping me stay calm, look logistically at things. So it really helped having him there that evening. He brought me a bag of goodies to help me unwind and de-stress.
That's quite nice.
Oh, you used to hate Lush. Why did you used to hate it? Because you thought it was pretentious.
Yeah.
We should have a bath.
Yeah. Well, what are you trying to say?
What's happening tomorrow? You're getting probed in the nose.
Not just the nose though, it goes all the way down. You're not allowed to eat 6 hours before. So my appointment's at 2, so I'd have to get up at 7 to have breakfast, and we all know that's never going to happen, so...
Well, it will.
No, it won't.
Can't hurt.
I don't know, I've never had it.
So Wednesday came and I was feeling very emotional that morning. I actually had a whole host of gastric tests performed when I first got sick in 2014, and they didn't go very well at all. I had a very traumatic experience with an endoscopy where I was wide awake. My sedation failed, I was wide awake, and I was trying to tell them, and they thought I was asleep or whatever, and it was just very traumatizing. It wasn't a great experience. So I was going off the experiences that I had had that were similar to what was happening, and I was really getting myself worked up about it. So I had to go in for an esophageal manometry test, which involves them putting a small catheter through your nose, out the back of your nose, and down your throat. The test is comprised of 2 parts. There's a 24-hour study, which is the second half, and there's the first half of the study, which is to help measure your swallowing function, how your throat muscles work. Whew, I feel a bit shaky thinking about it, if you gathered by now. Didn't go well. So they took me in and they explained the procedure to me, and it was very similar to an endoscopy in the sense that they were putting a tube down my throat. It was just going through the back of my nose. I explained to them that local anaesthetics don't work very well with EDS patients. We seem to have some sort of resistance to them. Anytime I've had a local, it doesn't work. I had a nerve block, that didn't work. I had a general anaesthetic once, and I didn't go to sleep with the first round. They had to give me more. Yeah, I've not had a great time with anaesthetics in the past, and this was going to be no exception. So they didn't really take it seriously, what I was saying. They gave me the local anaesthetic anyway. They put it up my nose, they squirted it twice, and told me to snort it back down into my throat. It burnt so bad, it really hurt. It didn't numb my throat at all. I could feel everything in my throat. I could feel my nose. I was telling them I could feel it, and they weren't really listening. We did ask if we could film. They said no, so I don't have any footage from it, but I'm kind of glad because it all went to pot. So they tried to do the first half of the test, which was the thicker of the two tubes. I would say the thickness of this tube was probably, about a drinking straw width. It was quite thick. I had to thread it up through my nose, and it wouldn't go. It just wouldn't go further past the back of my nose. It wasn't coming down into my throat. I could feel it, and I could feel it. It hurt tremendously. I'm not great. I like to read about procedures before I go and have them because I don't like the fear of the unknown. So I'd scared myself silly, but I did know that this test was not meant to hurt. I mean, it was meant to be uncomfortable. People didn't like it, but it was not meant to hurt, and it was hurting a lot. I started crying. I was starting to panic because it was hurting so bad. They kept trying to put it in. They must have tried about 5 or 6 different times with this thicker one to try and get it in. It wasn't happening. It wasn't going past the back of my nose, and she said that the back of my nostrils felt quite tight. I nearly passed out a couple of times as well because it obviously triggered some sort of POTS reaction. So I said, okay, well, let's try the 24-hour one, which is a slightly thinner tube, and we'll try and see if we can get at least that one in. And again, it just wasn't going in. It wasn't going to the back of my throat. Oh, it's horrible. They tried desperately to try and get it through. They even gave it to me to put through. It wasn't going, and they had to give up. And I came out of the appointment and I went to see my dad in the waiting room, and I just bawled. I just cried because I felt like it was already a really bad week with all the bad things that were happening, and this was just sort of the icing on the cake.
I just feel like I want to cry again. Yeah, I cried a lot when I was in the room. I cried a lot when we came out. It was just not good. So we stopped off at the shop, got DVD, some treats, but I just feel miserable.
Took myself off to my room. I tried to process what was happening, what it would mean, and then a friend said something to me and it just tipped me off. I was just so emotional, and something that wouldn't normally have upset me really just triggered something in me, and I was a mess. I was emotionally a mess. It wasn't good. So Thursday we had to go back and do it all again, and I woke up and I hadn't had a great night's sleep. I felt very sick because I had to fast for this test, so there was nothing in my stomach. So the test I went for on Thursday was a gastric emptying test because we were so sure that I had gastroparesis. So the test involved me eating an egg and jam sandwich. The sandwich was weird. It was strange. The egg was like powdered egg, so it had no taste, but it had the texture of egg, and it had jam in it. It was just warm.
This is the weirdest sandwich I've ever had.
Shut up and eat your sandwich. Is it good?
That is weird.
It looks like cream cheese, doesn't look like egg. What? It's cream cheese. Looks like they just put a lot of Philadelphia in your...
And then the test involved me coming back every half an hour for them to scan the contents of my stomach to see it moving and emptying. The eggs had radioactivity in, that's how they could see it. I was so sure that the eggs would like taste weird with radioactivity in. They didn't, they had no taste at all. After the first half-hour interval, they brought me back in and they could see the contents moving out of my stomach already. So probably not gastroparesis. I feel confused, I feel conflicted, I feel weird about it. Over the course of like the next couple of hours, I was getting really sick. They told me that if I did throw up, then they'd have to end the test. So I was really fighting to keep it all in my stomach. The test took about 4 hours. There was a lot of waiting around for these scans. And I'm pretty sure at the end of the last scan, she said that it had all digested. So that suggests to me that it's not gastroparesis. And I just back to square one, isn't it? I feel a bit weird about all that because I was so sure. I was so sure that it was gastroparesis. I'm not a doctor, obviously. I can't say for certain that that is not gastroparesis, but I wouldn't have thought that with gastroparesis that it would all be gone at the end of the test. It was a really weird, conflicting week. I felt really unwell this week. It's Tuesday. I don't feel very well this morning at all. And on Friday I didn't film anything because I needed to process what had happened this week. I need to give myself some time to kind of come to terms with not being able to do tests. My body let me down. I needed to kind of mentally heal myself a little bit because it has been a really emotionally tough week. So that was this week. Hopefully next week is going to be better. I have another barium test, which is a barium swallow, which is liquid, and I'm very nervous about that because I had an MRI where I had to drink a lot of liquid for it. The liquid was awful. Couldn't get it in. I couldn't even drink half of it. It made me very sick, very nauseous, and I'm just worried about going through all that again. So we will have to see what happens, but that was my week in review living with EDS. Let me know what you think of this new format, whether you like it. I want to make something that's interesting and fun visually for you to watch. I don't want to be like boring people. That is not my intention. I really want to help people who are struggling and going through the same thing that I am going through. Because I felt so alone when I was doing all of this the first time round. I don't want anyone to feel like that. Anyway, as always, have a wonderful week, guys. I'll see you next week. Stay safe, take care, see you soon. Bye.